Hi, I'm your PAW Andrea. This is part 3 on tips to create a theme chart. Now, let's review our getting started questions. In parts 1 and 2, we discussed do you have a good understanding of all your sources? So, in part 1, we skimmed the source and highlighted evidence we could use. Then, in part 2, we discussed do you have a good research question and navigated the PAW website on how to create a good research question, and you can always come to PAW and we can discuss. And finally, we also talked about what type of research question do you have. And we ended part 2 on this. And here in part 3, we will further discuss how you can use your research question to create your themes. And finally, do you know who your target audience is? So now let's work on our themes for our theme chart. What to think about when creating themes. Number 1, what are some common ideas found across all your sources? 2, are there any keywords across most of your sources? And 3, the type of research question you have. For ARC 2, usually it's problem solution, cause and effect, or compare and contrast. And note, if you're in ARC 1, it's only argumentative. Now, how to find these keywords in your sources. Across all of your sources, your academic articles will have a set of keywords, which are important for creating your themes in your theme chart. In my case, since my question is a problem solution research question, I focus on finding the problems for online gaming addiction in South Korea and the solutions the authors present at the end of each article. Now, in the case of problem solution, you can ask these questions when reading your articles. Do the papers present a solution to the problem you want to answer? If so, what are the problems presented in the article, and where does the author explain possible solutions? Now, back to my case as an example. These are some of the themes I found throughout my articles, such as the problem of lack of interaction at home or loneliness, the COVID-19 pandemic, how it relieved boredom or stress, and high internet access. So some solutions could be that teachers, school psychologists, and counselors can help intervene and prevent gaming addiction, and parents could monitor their children. Now on to cause and effect. If your research question is cause and effect, you can focus on finding the causes or effects in each article, or you could find both. For instance, your question could be, what are the causes or effects of gaming addiction among South Korean teens? Now, this question differs from my original problem and solution question because we want to look at the different causes behind gaming addiction, or what happens as a result of the gaming addiction, or even the effects. Now, some questions you could ask while reading are, do most of the papers explain many causes or effects? If it explains the causes, does it explain the possible effects? Or does it explain the effects and what are the causes for those? As an example, using the question we discussed before, the causes could be the COVID-19 pandemic and, of course, high internet access, while the effects are that it relieved boredom or stress, and there is a lack of interaction at home or loneliness. So a tip I have is that organizing common ideas across your sources will help when creating your theme chart. So you can just focus on either just the causes or just the effects. It kind of depends on the structure of your paper. Now on to compare and contrast. If your research question is compare and contrast, you could focus on finding what the author is comparing or contrasting in each article. For instance, your question can be, what are the similarities or differences in gaming addiction between South Korean and American teens? So some questions you could think about while reading are, does the paper compare or contrast a topic? If it is comparison, is one topic better? Does the author describe one topic is better than the other? Or what is the main method of comparison? And what are the qualities that the author includes in their article? So some example ideas in which you could kind of describe how one author believes that high internet access makes South Korean and American teens more susceptible to gaming addiction, or that the COVID-19 pandemic could increase the risk for teens in South Korea and the US to become more addicted. Or you can contrast it where one author believes that American teens are not as susceptible to gaming addiction, whereas South Korean teens are, maybe because of internet access or etc. So you could just focus on either just comparing or just contrasting the topic. Consider the author's bias when they are either comparing or contrasting the topic. For instance, you could look at where the author is based. If the author is based in America, of course, their bias might show if they're discussing South Korean teens and gaming addiction compared to American teens and gaming addiction. I do want to note that argumentative is for ARC 1, but in the case if you're reading for an argumentative question, you could think about, do the papers have a particular argument or side that supports or disproves your topic? And does the author add any opposing or countering arguments to their paper? Now, keep in mind that most of your articles should contain these keywords or ideas, and not all boxes of your theme chart will have evidence that fits a particular theme. Now, turning key ideas and topics into themes. To create good themes, 1, think of each theme as an answer to your research question. 2, make sure the themes are related to your research question and type. 3, be sure that the themes do not overlap and instead merge similar ideas together. Now, once your themes are created, you can insert evidence from your annotated sources into your theme chart. Don't forget, when including evidence, make sure there is a complete citation with the paraphrase or direct quote. Now that you've either paraphrased or cited a direct quote, you can see how it all comes together in part 4, where we can discuss the finished theme chart. Don't forget that in parts 1 and 2, we also went over how you can scan your sources or even use the PAW website to better understand the different essay types that you would want to choose from. Thank you. Come back for part 4 to see the end. Bye-bye.